We are live. Here we are. It is Thursday. Another day of the week has gone by, and the year is a day shorter between now and Christmas. It'll be here before you know it. Summer is about ready to kick off this weekend with Memorial Day on Monday, the 31st. So, so it is important that we really get into some information today. My name is Tom Young. I'm here for Money Shifts podcasts on anchor.com. And this is live Facebook with Thomas Young. And we're here to inspire, to help guide you to some growth in your life, if that's what you're looking for, because you're either busy being born or you're busy dying, folks. This is really that important because the world never stops. Personal growth is not optional. You either decide to grow you or the world will grow you into what they want you to be. We start every presentation with prayers for everyone in the world affected by COVID-19, all those who have lost loved ones. Our prayers go out, our sympathies go out. We also pray for those who have been lost, that the Lord would open his arms and take them into his kingdom above. In Jesus' name we pray. So listen, got a lot of things to talk about today to get into my 15 to 20 minutes. First thing I want to talk about is our word, because this word today says it all. Communication. And that is the most important thing of everything, because communication is really people skills. And always remember that success is 98% people skills and 2% product knowledge. The ability to communicate and get along favorable with people is a critical ingredient to any kind of success, any kind of endeavor, whatever you're attempting to do, planning on doing, actually doing, requires communication of some kind in some way. Fred Rogers, remember Fred Rogers from Pittsburgh? Anything that's human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. When we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. The people we trust with that important talk can help us know that we are not alone. The older I get, the more I realize the most important way to inspire anyone is through building relationships. The old adage, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, seems to prove true. Communication is the key, and unsuccessful people are locked out. Teaching young children has always humbled me. The silliest thing I ever asked my first graders to do was to write a story about their lives one day. They looked at me like I was from outer space. "We're only 6, one little boy said. "Nothing has happened to us." "Not true," I replied. When I was in first grade, I had this teacher who yelled at me one day, smacked me on my hand, and called me stupid in front of my classmates. My students looked at me in shock as I continued. So the next day, I was walking to school with an apple, and I peed on the apple and gave it to my teacher when I got to school. Later that day, she told me she had eaten apple and it was one of the best apples she had ever had. My students looked at me collectively with huge grins on their faces, and even one boy slowly uttered, "That is awesome." I realized that I wanted my students to open up about their lives. I had to open up about my own. From that day on, I learned that the best way to really teach anything was to share personal stories with my students. In that way, we connected. I also never accepted food from any of my students. That was a funny little story and unbelievable. As we talk today, I was on US Debt Clock. We talk about that to further prove that America is bankrupt. This is serious stuff, and our politicians are ignoring all of this as they continue to spend trillions of dollars. Well, here's a number for you right off of the US Debt Clock. The interest, total interest paid in the last 12 months was 3.888 trillion. The revenue in the last 12 months was 3.494 trillion. So it was about $400 billion short of even being able to pay the interest on the debt. Folks, we are in for a very, very challenging time looking into the future in America and literally around the world, because I don't care what anybody says, where America goes, the rest of the world follows. And all of the free governments around the world are all printing and borrowing money from the central bank system that leads all the way to the Rothschilds in London, the inner London. There's a city inside a city. If you don't believe me, do some research. And you can go to a search engine and put in the 3 cities that rule the world. The 3 cities that rule the world, and you'll find DC, London, and the Vatican. The London in UK, there are 2 Londons, there are 2 cities. There is London, which we think of in UK, but there is also an inner island city called London that is owned by the Rothschilds and all the world bankers. It is its own separate community. It does not pay taxes of any kind. It is in control of the world money supply. So this information is critical. Do your own research. I mean, I'm sitting here and I talk about this stuff every day. We talked the other day about the Fabian Society and how socialism is being taught around the world. And we know socialism in history has never, ever worked. And it most often leads to communism and dictatorships. Be aware, folks. Be fully aware of what is going on. Are you ready? Are you planning? Have you made arrangements to be safe? I believe there is hyperinflation coming as they continue to push trillions of dollars of new money into the marketplace that devalues your money. That is what inflation is. And on top of that, the banks take $1 and create 7 out of every $1 they have. That's the fractional banking. Facts. Facts, folks. Do some research. Today, the topic in The Road Less Traveled as we wrap up this book is the Alpha and the Omega. You know, the nature of power is what it talks about in here. And there was what the words aware and awareness, evolution of consciousness. So this is some very, very important stuff. And you know what? It isn't going to change your world, but you know what it will do? It will open your mind up to there is more stuff than I know. Remember we did the circle of knowledge the other day, talking about that, and that red sliver. If something that you thought to be true turned out not to be, when would you want to know? So we have to think about that in planning this crisis that's coming out of the government about money and inflation and debt and interest. Eventually, it is going to hit an unbelievable fever pitch level. you better have some savings. You better be out of debt. Remember the Financial Mastery Blueprint that is now available. And it is now on the cfo-project.com, up above my head right there. Put in your name and email address. You get a copy, a download of my new book, ebook, cover to cover. And then on the next page, there are books that you can access for $47. And one of those books is the Financial Mastery Coaching Blueprint. It lays out in great detail how to do things. It also has an assets report on the end that you need to fill out so that if something happened to you, your children, your heirs know what you had and where everything is. You know, that's why do they have these things called as cheat laws in the states, where if nobody claims something, it goes to the state. These inventory workbooks are so important to fill out to help your family, because we all get to graduate once in life. You know, we all get to die at least once. So when that time comes, you won't be able to communicate anymore with anybody that is still on this side of the fence. So you need to leave behind some information to help people find your assets and know what to do. Now, this is not listed in your will anywhere. So this is an important document, and it's available in the Financial Mastery Blueprint. As we talk about the debt and what the government's doing, remember, saving 20% of your income is a minimum. As you make more and more money, the percentage of your income stays the same, but as your income rises, the amount of savings increases. If you make $300,000 a year, your savings should be 30%. If you make $400,000 a year, it should be 40%. That is critical for you to be able to continue your lifestyle someday at retirement time. And as you save and pile up money, it isn't just about net worth. It's about acquiring assets that generate passive residual income. And as you start making this income from the investments you make, you use that income to pay some of your expenses, which frees up capital that you worked hard for. You traded blood and sweat and hours for. You can now focus that to add more investments. So it becomes a process. The next step in that is no debt. Getting out of consumer debt. Home mortgages are not consumer debt because it's a loan against the asset. Worst come to worst, you can always sell the asset and pay the debt off. I'm talking about debt that we run up every month. And at the end of the month, if you can't pay off everything you purchased, then you're in trouble. If you have to carry a credit card balance for more than a month or more than the end of the month, you're in trouble. You must get out of debt. You must learn to become your own banker. You need to accumulate capital equal to 50% of your annual income. If you have access to that money without taxes or penalties, then you will never have to run or carry a credit card balance. These are the stepping stones to real financial security and certainty. And in the beginning, when you save and accumulate these monies, it isn't about investing. Remember, I'm talking about saving versus investing. Saving is safe, secure, with certainty. Investment is risk. I'm not against investing, but you only go there after all of this other is in place. Makes no sense to me if you have a credit card balance and you're paying 18% interest and you're putting money into the stock market, hoping to make a rate of return and avoid the next big fall. Come on, folks. I'm praying for all of you. I know this stuff works that I'm teaching. I have dozens of clients. If you go to firstconsultantsinc.com, that's #1 stconsultantsinc.com, there are 24 testimonials and videos of clients and what they have said about what I have done for them. It humbles me. I have no less than 8 or 10 widows right now. You know, when a man and a woman comes to me and I become their advisor and we work together, the commitment I make to this man and his loving wife is that if anything happens to you, what I'm helping you create will allow me to take care of your wife. Financially, peace of mind. You do not, I know in your heart, you do not want to leave her with problems. You want to make sure she is taken care of. She has raised your kids. She's been by your side for decades. And I know you want to take care of her. Let me help you do that. And do it with no additional out-of-pocket cost. We only focus on creating more, not taking away. God bless. Time's up. Get my book, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project. Get it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of the big booksellers. Go to cfo-project.com up here. Put in your name and email address. You'll get an instant link and a download cover to cover of the book. Go there, and there's an opportunity to begin investing in you and your financial future. There are 5 books over there and a 1-hour video. Money back guarantee will change your life. If you've read those books and listened to the video and they were not worth anything to you, send me an email and I will return your $47 instantly. God bless. Another week is about gone by. Tomorrow's Friday. So I will see you tomorrow at noon. God bless.